is up, everyone? This is Sara G, and it is GenZ-Gab. Let's get into it. So this week will probably be a little bit of a shorter episode, and there's not going to be a Monday mood. There's not going to be a lot of stuff because I've just had a very rough week. I am tired. I had tests done, etc. If you want more info on that, even though I'm not revealing too much, go to last week's episode where I kind of break down a little bit of what's going on. But in the end, it's just better for me to keep firm boundaries. And before anyone asks, yes, I'm going to have Dr. Courtney Tracy on here, and we'll talk more about probably boundaries and, our whole situation between social media, family, etc. Who knows? But if you want to check out, though, where she talks a lot about some of this stuff, go and watch her series where she reacts to the Wednesday episodes. You will not be disappointed. So the reason that I'm talking about all of this right at this exact moment is because, for starters, I'm just tired. And I've been living at home for the past 3 years, which for anyone who knows how that feels, it's just hard because you're trying to be an adult in a world that just feels like you're not. And I don't know how much I make sense, but even when I'm trying to make just my own content and trying to make people laugh and just be more easygoing in like maybe the 2020, 2019 era, people will always message you bad shit. And you know what? Lately I've been getting a lot more hate comments on YouTube. Also, YouTube is the only place, I try to make sure that I don't have to, where I can pass a copyright check on Instagram and TikTok Reels, Shorts, whatever. And you know what? I understand why YouTube is a little more persnickety, but it's come freaking on. And also then people the stuff I want to show more, even if I don't add much value to it, I'm winding up showing something else. And it's really frustrating because when you're someone who's been doing everything, all the stuff herself, it's just so excruciating. I don't sleep well, probably as I should. And I've been trying to take these past few days to rest more, which I need. And that doesn't really work out in my favor either. I have to still keep editing all this stuff. And then I get emails sometimes from people that are like, here's how to make your life easier. And it still doesn't. And it's fine. It's good. Sometimes nothing worth having. Get something what's worth having in a way. But that also seems like a very much something depends on the time and whatever. And people always ask why and how influencers, creators, etc. can get all this stuff done. It really depends on, again, what level you're at. 'Cause I'm more at that micro level where it's still, I'm doing everything myself. I'm not saying that people don't work hard, but, lately I've been seeing also the bigger you are, the more, you're willing to make jokes out of different types of brand deals, even if you're not sure what that brand deal is. I've come across way more of those that make my brain go, is this real or fake? Because you also don't put your link in. And I don't even want to know with some of those things. Also, the amount of problems that arise with, wellness influencers lately. And this is a new year, new me, fake crap stuff. And I know I'm kind of reiterating all the stuff that I've always done, but it's so true. I go on Reddit, which I know before anyone comes after me, I've mentioned this a lot. I go on Reddit a lot just to see where people stand on certain things, because here's the thing. I try to remain kind of just unbiased from everything, like I said, that I learned in undergrad and grad. But, it's kind of interesting to see through the lenses of what other people notice, if they're similar, if they're different than what I've noticed. And, whenever I'm on Reddit Gym Snark, I have to say it's the same kind of stuff over and over again, where it makes me a little bit happy, I guess, at the end of the day, to see that I'm not the only one. Again, I will say this. I have the utmost respect for front-line workers and doctors for everything that I especially went through this week. But I do want to say one thing, because I know people are going to get a little mad, but it's true. I tried putting up firm boundaries, and for my specific tests, I needed probably my height and my weight more than usual. But I put up firm boundaries with these nurses and health practitioners where I said, please don't tell me it. Please don't show me the number. Please don't do X, Y, and Z, which they started off doing a great job without. But then one went out of their way to tell me that I'm technically on the more overweight side, but at least I don't look it. And I went out of my way to message one of the dietitians that I follow on TikTok because it was so mind boggling, and I'm still mad, obviously, about it. So, as many people know, like I said, I really have respect for frontline workers. I had nothing against it, and that's something that I've talked about a lot. The problem that I keep running into is that suddenly this week, with a lot of the procedures that I was going through, and I kind of mentioned this, I kept getting told, like, no matter how much firm boundaries that I put up, I kept being told information that I did not want. And I want to make it clear again that you can keep advocating for yourself. I know it feels like a numerous gut punch every time you're not listened to. And hey, I just want to say that again, frontline workers are doing a phenomenal job, that they should get paid more, etc. They should have a lot of more mental health resources. I'm just speaking on these issues that, a lot of women or identifying of women have to put up with, or just people in general. The whole thing about weight and the stigma, and just in the January month that we are, the wellness stuff is doing it rampant, running rampant. And the amount of times that I have to put up with seeing videos that I repost of like what dietitians, trainers, people who have so much knowledge, who actually did a lot of work going to school instead of just spewing out information. And again, I am sorry, because in college I might have done a little bit of that too, but I always tried to put the disclaimer, I'm not an expert. But the problem is that we go around all acting like we're experts just because of human in interaction, human experience. And yes, part of that works. But the problem is also, I've just noticed a lot of people have been talking about how influencers look so much better than the rest of us. Here's the thing. We don't have money. We don't have all the same stuff. We don't know how to use filters the same way. Everyone is constantly telling them how they need to look and act. Also, we don't have resources to the plastic surgeons or the skincare routines that they do, and it's okay. You do you. And again, I'm trying not to judge everyone who goes about it this way. I just wanted to specify why maybe we don't all look that way, and we're not all meant to look that way. And again, I should not be mad per se, but I am mad at people like Mindy Kaling who, use Ozempics like the Kardashians, are getting gastric sleeves, making us feel like this and that. And I do get mad at people saying that we should not care and we should not focus this much on all these people in Hollywood. You're right. And that they have these similar kind of opinions, but at the same time, I'm also saying that we don't go after the men the same way. True, but it's always like a backhanded way to go about all of this. And I just want to also emphasize that I've been seeing a lot of odd, where I don't even know if they're real anymore, or just like a parody of influencers making fun of themselves with these new apps that they have a paid partnership with, or if it's a real thing, because sometimes they don't put even the links in. And I get it that it's a hard job to be them. And I get it that you're under a microscope all the time and you have handlers, etc. And, that we can't just go back to the year 2019, 2020 energy before everyone blew up. I get it. And I try not to judge so much. But the problem is that when you start to see more true colors, it's just like, I don't know anymore. And we're all just trying to figure it out. And again, I keep coming across, and I have to admit it, yeah, I'm not as great as I think I am either. But just the opinions that, like, where it's like, I don't think I'm better than anyone else, but then go and judge so much harsher. Also, I just want to say, though, for all the people, like, judging on the Golden Globes, the problem that I've come across the most is not people making fun of Selena Gomez's weight, but they're talking about her little sister. And I get it, like, yeah, that's what happens with the spotlight, etc. But her little sister, and I'm not going to get into, like, names or whatever, and for all those people saying that she only shows off, like, her white little sister, bitch, her little sister lives close by her. That's not it. And then one side's more private. It doesn't matter which side, and she talks about how protective she is of both of them. So just leave them alone. But the problem is she includes them as much as she can. She's a great, from what I see. Again, I don't know these people personally, but can we just admit that we should not be attacking little kids under the age of 18, especially not more? And I know it's so weird, but again, that comes with the territory I get. But even then, it's just like people need to stop commenting on all of this. And even the Kardashian kids should be off limits. Kids should just be off limits. Like, thinking about this, like, a lot of our brains start kind of identifying diet culture around that time. So, especially in females. And yes, people commenting that, like, oh, Selena Gomez was starving herself, this and that. No, if you watch her documentary and hear her stuff, again, she's on a lot of stuff for her lupus and her bipolar. I'm not saying that she might have not been doing things, but she's been on a lot of different medicines for her health problems. And as someone who has a lot of chronic health issues, it's none of your damn business if you go after her. I know that there's probably some problematic points of Selena Gomez that even like one of her more fans since a kid, have maybe looked away from. But you guys got to stop this whole thing, like the narrative, like, that Raquel and Francia are like these non-toxic people. Because again, her whole friend group kind of screams confusion to me. And, I look back at different things and I try not to dive into this stuff from like months ago that I mentioned on the whole drama stuff. I'm really trying not to name drop even like people that are problematic, like I've constantly said, unless they're over the age of like 30, because we're all trying to figure out things, but there is so many problems that are arising. And we as females, because again, PK and Liam Hemsworth this week, Shakira and Miley dropped the best revenge songs ever. And yes, some of them had like similarities to other songs, and I get it, like that there's going to be issues and controversy, but can we just say that those two wrote the best like revenge songs for this year? And now that all this stuff is coming out, it is phenomenal. And just showing like how our brains think with the toxic masculinity in our society. Our brains directly go to, oh, Miley was the wild one. Oh, Shakira she was picking like from the really young bunch. She was robbing the cradle, which in a way, yes. But again, I have an issue with the like robbing the cradle in general for anyone, whatever. And I try to ignore. But Shakira is amazing in the sense that, she waited till now to say something. But again, she got left with all this stuff for Spain, the taxes, and she's Colombian, and she's Colombiana, and she, got her still with her mother-in-law. The fact that they were never married, which doesn't really matter, but they had a lot of stuff very similar with now the custody, etc. But the problem is that I have to say for her is like, she has been nothing but grace in a lot of these reasons. And, she's just killing it, Shakira. And the fact that she even said now it's like he's dating someone 10 years younger than him, and people are not really saying too much either. So it's just kind of like one of those what? And the thing is, though, she is a powerhouse. And Miley, was the wild child, people assumed it was all her, but now you're like seeing the side. And the fact that Liam Hemsworth, his family still, puts him in that goody side, like they have all these things in the news. You're starting to realize this man cheated on her 14 times and she tried to like change her image so much for him. No, we love the Miley now. Miley is killing it. Miley is phenomenal. Miley can pull anyone. Like, you've started to realize that too. And she's not as wild as you think. Like, yeah, she has some of that like rock star stuff, but she's killing it. And last I checked, Liam, you haven't done anything since Hunger Games, really, right? mean, Chris has been mentioned way more and whatever, but that's kind of where I'm standing on the whole thing of, damn, if I was going to do a Monday mood, even though I'm not really doing Monday mood this week, it would be those two girls. And the fact of the matter is, I could listen to Shakira's new song on repeat, and obviously I'm listening to Miley's, and again, most of it's through TikTok and reels, but it's like, oh my gosh, once I feel better from, all the tests that I had done, I'm going to definitely play these songs in the background. I am super excited though, just to see what more they have. We need a Shakira and a Miley Super Bowl show. I think that would be so cool. Maybe featuring Bruno Mars, just kind of have like that powerhouse all together. So let me know your thoughts there. But yeah, I've been rewatching a lot of stuff and realizing, where do I stand on this? Because I say and call out a lot of things, but it's constantly that unlearning and relearning that I don't think we're quite past yet in our society. And I think because, we're just so intertwined with a lot of things going on in the world, we kind of forget what's actually right in front of us. And before anyone says anything to me like where this is just such a typical, I just notice more and more and more, and it's just that it's killing me when I have this much downtime to overanalyze everything. Again, a hyperfixation of ADHD, if you will. And the problem is also, though, when you look at the shows, that some of the problems that you don't realize are how much swiftly they go under the rug. I know that's kind of weird to also say or emphasize, but if you think about it, again, I'll bring up Ginny and Georgia, but this was done very phenomenal, really realistic, with the whole thing with Abby and the whole thing with Marcus, with the depression, the eating disorders. And again, I'd love to expand more on that in season 3, hopefully. But the only reason that I'm bringing this up is because, yes, well, those do a great job of discussing, divulging all the mental health problems. There's still a long way to go. And I've noticed a lot of comedians, females, like kind of deflect and make jokes, and some of them though don't even have eating disorders, and that's been really bothering me, or disordered eating pattern. And I know people are going to say, Sarah, stop being so sensitive, but I think that with how January is and with some of the comments that have had made at me recently, and I see my privilege, I'm just going to state that there. I'm a white, cis, straight, female, all that. Again, I was at CVS today picking up medication and saw and heard all of my privilege. That being said, because diversity happens when you're just out in the real world. But that being said, I just could not handle it anymore with how offhand, and I get it, people can be like, well, comedians can say whatever, but it's just that it's been bothering me more so lately. And I feel like it's one of those, self-deprecation is okay, but if you're just straight up making fun and calling out people, like, that's just, I get it, a gray area. And yes, we can comment on like what celebs are using weight loss drugs, but it's just like, it's so annoying because everything is so normalized, and I don't know how to explain it more than that. Also, when you say that you can ask to, at any time, say no to getting weighed, even if it's for like a specific procedure, people are going to be like still feeling bullied into getting their weight. So that's just, I just wanted to say that in case anyone's feeling down about that I too have felt that, and I try to remain with firm boundaries, and it's just something that our society really doesn't seem to give a shit about as much anymore, or care to expand their thinking. And again, I just want everyone to know, please give respect to frontline workers. Please understand they're at a higher risk for a lot of issues, mental health, chronic illness, etc. I was trying not to bash them. I was just speaking on some negative results, though, too, that I feel like some people have felt. And when people hear those kind of things, it's like they still feel invalidated. And I think everyone deserves a right to hear both sides in some ways, but I also know that every time I try to explain something, my brain might think that the thoughts are clear and concise when they're actually not. So do what you will with that. But I've been noticing a lot of dupes. So people want to know what dupes are, and I'm going to talk a little bit to try to get a little more lighthearted. But dupes are lookalikes, doppelgangers, whatever. And before anyone comes at me, it's just so funny. And I've been having a lot of fun with them. And again, it was trying to bring that 2019, 2020 energy back. So if you've been harassed or felt victimized by one of my dupes, I'm sorry. And the reason that I say that is because some people have actually commented that they've thought the same thing about the dupes jokes that I've been doing. That being said, right now I've been doing more dupes with Ginny and Georgia and Weeds. But there's some content creators that look like some people from Wednesday, and I should not be allowed to be on social media for some of those reasons. Because when you go down the rabbit hole and start scrolling and then you see the comments, it's like you can't stop your idea train going. And before anyone says, what does that mean? Here's the thing. Again, when you have ADHD, probably ADHD, which again, I just pronounced that wrong. ADHD, anyway, and then autism, etc. Your brain goes like a million miles per hour with all the content, ideas, etc. So again, I have ADHD, OCD, and my creative brain goes off the rails all the time, and I can't help myself. And again, none of those videos go viral, but it's okay because I still find them funny and plenty of other people find them funny. Not every video has to go viral. I just want to make that emphasize. The only problem is that I think I've mentioned this too a little earlier, but again, YouTube has been extra on me for copyright stuff, which I completely understand, but I pass on the Reels and the Instagram, all that stuff, and TikTok, the copyright, like trying to make sure that I don't overstep or use too much. And YouTube just calls me out. It feels like more, and yet they let plenty of other people who have more followers get away with whatever. And it's the typical, as you say it, kind of just smaller gets more of the reparations, etc. So, yep, that is what it is. But what I was going to say is that you work so hard on these videos, and instead people like to just comment hate, which is like part of the territory. I get it. But, no matter how hard you work on something, it brings me back to what I talked about with Laura High. And I say this again, and I'm reiterating it again, is because you're doing something slightly different. And even if it seems like it's just typical boring reaction, only you can do that specific reaction. Just FYI, only you can. So there's that. I do want to touch a little bit on, though, more of, the wellness influencers, because I follow Laura Gershi, I think. Anyway, I'll put her information down for TikTok soon, but she's a personal trainer, former recovering, all that stuff, great person. And I'm sorry that I'm kind of, off the rails with some of my speech stuff. I'm still really tired and recovering from some of the tests that I had done. So just to know, this is not your usual bright, shiny Sarah, but you know what? That's okay. The reason that I'm doing this is also showing the realities that not everyone's put together 100% of the time. But she did a comparison to, Bella Hadid's smoothie that cost probably like $19 and a McDonald's smoothie that would have this and that. And then people were trying to make it super food up more, even though the McDonald's didn't really have anything in it. So just saying, the things that I appreciate about these like personal trainers and anti-diet dietitians is that they focus on what actually is inside and how does it make you feel. And I think that we take so much time to make sure that we look and fit in with that cookie cutter mold that it doesn't really work out too much in the end. And I've started to think about just how the wellness industry has effed up our heads so much, because here's the thing. A lot of them have been discredited. A lot of these quote unquote specialists have gotten their licenses revoked. And I just wanted to say that as more of this wellness January or juicy January keeps coming up, because I think people keep forgetting that, not everything you should believe on the internet. And I know that that's such a typical cliche thing to say, but it's true. And you know what? I will no longer feel victimized when I've got anxiety, depression on top of it, when I have to take the artificial version, because I tried some of those naturopathic ways. My body really does have chemical imbalances that can't live without a lot of this stuff. And now there is different types, and yes, people are so quick. I've heard plenty of people say that, but when you've also tried the natural remedies, if anything, sometimes they make you go even more nuts and feel like you need more control. And that's not good. Now, granted, I do have OCD, so the whole thing about control is different, but that's kind of where I stand on the whole thing. And before anybody comes after me, it's just these have been my life thoughts for the past couple days as I've sat down and figured out what I'm rewatching, what I'm understanding. I'm also been in a rush to figure out where my Luxembourg citizenship is at. I've been listening to some things in French to try to get that going again. And, I'm just all over the place. I have had no time really to sit down and think and collect my thoughts in a very therapeutic, very honest way, in a sense that makes sense for other people. And instead, it's just the ranting and the anger and the despair that is me, which I get it happens, but I've collected my thoughts. I've written down so many things, and sometimes it just happens. And I want people to understand nobody's perfect, and that also, though, that you can have some of these feelings when you're feeling like you don't want to fail the frontline workers by complaining about them because they're already at a higher risk than other things. And I completely get that. And I just want to say, I want to give a hug to all those frontline workers because I understand your job's stressful, but also just keep in mind that what you might think is helpful might be hurtful. And I know that that's very confusing, but if you especially work in the health field, I know there's a lot to keep up, but I just wanted to emphasize, especially after my recent incident, that's just something you could keep in mind, because you wonder how you can help us more or feel less anxious. Maybe don't, even go out of your way for not telling us a number. Congratulations, you didn't tell us the number of where our BMI is at, even though BMI is fucking bullshit. You don't just say anything. And I know that that's harder and easier said than done, especially with me, the chatterbox that comes every Monday, but that's where I'm at. So that was a little peace of mind for this week. I do want to say I'm super excited for this week, that 90s show to come out. I can't wait to watch Red and Kitty and all the new people. Leo's back. That's actually where I was really going off of my recent TikTok short, whatever you want to call it, because there's like 4 different apps now where you can post on it, but that people were commenting all those hateful things. It's funny, I find the more the haters live on YouTube, and I just have to let it go. But I applaud everyone who can get their stuff done on time, who, it's not even for lack of me trying to get help. It's I have lack of funds, and I'm just trying to emphasize for all these smaller creators out there who might not have everything figured out. I'm understanding you more. You probably understand me more, but just know no way is the right way as long as we all get there together. Also, please remember, though, when you're comparing your body to an influencer, etc., we do not have the same luxuries of, skincare. We are poor, whatever you want to call it, and we can't go out of our way to buy every single thing that they say is good. And just so you know, just because somebody says sulfates are bad or that that non-organic is bad doesn't inherently make it bad. The fact that there have been so many real people online, real practicing doctors, etc., that have disputed this, it just shows do what works for you. And that's what I'm going to leave everyone with this week, because as more time goes on, we don't know what's our next step. And I think that, in all the chaos that I just described, We need more rest, we need more water, and we need to be more gentler on each other. So let's gab soon. I will talk next week, hopefully with more energy and newer things, newer ideas. Gab and Go, Sara G.